Level 5, Project Path Completion. Title is My Experience Looking Back. Let me call upon Toastmaster Vijay Kumar, the speaker's evaluator, to brief about the speaker's objective. Toastmaster Vijay Kumar.
Yeah, Toastmaster Bharati, am I audible?
Yes, Vijay Kumar. Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Toastmaster Raju Rao is giving a speech on the project Reflect on Your Path. And the speech title of his project is My Path Experience Looking Back. The purpose of this project is for the member to reflect on his or her growth during the completion of an entire path. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspect of his or her growth during the completion of the path. Timer, please note the time given for this project or the speech is 10 to 12 minutes. I wish all the best to Toastmaster Rajirao. Over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much. Can I start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Timer, please note 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, am I audible?
Okay, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Sir, you're not visible. Sir, you're not visible.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be with you for the next 10 minutes with you. I'm going to talk about what I did on my path, effective coaching. How many of you have taken up effective coaching as a path? Can you just speak out your name?
Jaykantan, sir.
Okay, who else? Anybody else? Nobody else? Okay, Jaykantan is there with me, and we'll together try to unravel the mystery of how to do this path. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my speech today in 3 parts. First is I'm going to talk about my experience, what has been my experience in this path, personal experience. Second is a lot of projects which I did in this path. I would like to share some anecdotes about it. And the third one is, of course, some tips and tricks which I found and learned along the way. Okay, so let's get going. About myself, looking back, years back, when my son was just possibly in 3rd standard, he came to me and says, Appa, I want to revise. Gave me his textbook. Please ask questions. So I asked him questions. There were about 7 questions. I jumbled them up and asked him. He came back to me. He said, no, this is not the way you should ask. You should ask in serial order. And I said, listen, I can ask any way I like. And he was quite upset. He didn't know how to answer. And behind, my wife was looking at me and smiling. The same thing happened. I didn't know why thing went wrong. A couple of years later, my daughter did the same thing. She came to me, asked the same question, and I asked him the same jumbled up way, because I thought that was a smart way to check whether they know. Same response. She said, why are you asking like that? You're supposed to ask in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know. Never understood that point, that you have to work with the person whom you are training or asking, teaching. Fast forward further, my wife, she wanted to learn about how to drive a scooter. I told her, I will teach you. She said, no. I'll go to driving school. And she's learned it from them. But along the way, many years, I learned something about coaching, particularly from Toastmasters. So recently, when she wanted to ride a bicycle, I took her upon my job to think, and teach her, and believe me, I got a certificate from her that now you know how to teach people. Mind you, that was a big prize for me, more so because it was from my wife, double the marker. So that's about my experience. How bad I was as a coach. I've never been a coach. I've been a lot of other things related to coaching, training, as well as the mentoring, you know, all that thing I've been, but never a coach. So that's the reason why I took this path. And I've been learning, still learning. I'm still halfway only. Okay. When you do the assessment before and after in pathways, I'm still at number 3 only. So let me go to tell you something about what I have been doing in different paths. Can you see my screen? Can you answer? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. So 3 projects related to coaching. One was on consensus. This I did level 3 in form of a panel discussion. Level 4, one-on-one coaching. This was, I selected a person with who was willing to get coached by me. That was Mahant. Remember Toastmaster Mahant was there in our club earlier. He was my guinea pig, and as luck would have it, there's no other choice for him because he was my mentee also. Okay, and the third one, leadership. Recently, I started a community for Toastmasters in project management. So these are the 3 specific projects that I've done in coaching. Okay, but other than that, just coaching, I did a lot of other projects too. One was on storytelling, which is one of my favorite, because I've already done a number of speeches on that. Active listening, you do it by means of being a table topic master. Online meeting, very interestingly, you don't have to give a speech here. You simply do an online meeting. I did this as a THOD, and somebody observes, and you are getting credit for that. The last one, of course, is speak professionally, which is a longer topic in the line. Then descriptive language. This I took up because I'm an amateur author, and this was very interesting for me to how to describe a situation. I took the example of Kuvam River. How can Kuvam River become beautiful? And the next one, leading a voluntary organization, was about the 360 degrees feedback. Okay, the one on managing a project was about again, this was based on the online experience. Okay, how I manage a project, right? So these are some of the projects that I have done. Okay, and what I'm trying to tell you is that I got benefit 2 ways. One is to know how to coach. That was the main one part, more like an elective part. The second part is opportunity to do a lot of other interesting projects, like what I listed out, many interesting projects that you can do along the way by going to different paths. I still have some more like that in mind, which I couldn't do. One was writing a compelling blog and then creating a podcast and things like that, which I plan to do. Okay. So coming back to the third part of my thing, what did I learn from all this? I told you that I was not a good coach right from the beginning. I had a lot of difficulties, but slowly along the way, I realized that to be a good coach, you have to first understand the person. You cannot start from day 1 at level 10. You have to start with level 3, gauge the situation, and then go slowly up to the level 8, 9, and so on. And you have to go along with the person's way of thinking. Okay, so that is why it's very important to understand how to coach. And this I understood very slowly after many years of trials. Okay, and tips and tricks. What tips and tricks that I can suggest to you as a result of all these experiences? One is, don't necessarily do projects across. Don't necessarily do the projects one by one. You don't have to go level by level. You can do across levels. For example, you can start looking at projects at level 1, and you can go to level 3 and then level 5 and level 2 and so on. Jump across the projects, because you can do projects which are exciting for you. You must be excited in doing your projects, not necessarily, some of the projects you may not be interested in doing immediately because they may be boring, or they may really, you have done it many times, but they may be something you are interested. So take advantage of the system of Toastmasters and do across the thing, and more or less all projects, most of the projects at all, any path you choose are there everywhere. So that's the first thing, the tip that I can give you. Second thing is, use your activities that you have in the particular thing that you're doing. For example, a table topic master, or as a particular speaker, or some project that you have done. Use it as a project. Many of them are possible. For example, the online meeting I mentioned to you, I did two of them like that. One was online meeting thing. I did this as a THOD. Second thing, I gave a speech when I was a chief judge for a contest. I converted that into a speech because I actually done that, and that became a project for me, and I gave a speech on that. And you will find that many activities that you're doing, you can easily convert them to projects and relate your experience, and you'll be very effective. So these are the two areas that I'm talking about that you can do. Okay, so this is what I have, my experience right through from the beginning. I'm looking back first as my personal experience, then look back in terms of the projects that I've done, looking back in terms of the tips and tricks that I've learned. It has been a great experience. I think it will also be for you. Over to Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, TM Rajarao.